And last but not least, I think at the end of the session, you will have understood what the InQbet is all about and what you can get out of it. With that said, I would pass to Elena, that will be the timekeeper moderator of the session. We have 9 startups, so we need to be very disciplined in the flow of presentation, and Elena will be our timekeeper and will explain the role. So Elena, to you.
Thank you, Raffaele. Yes, as he said, so the session of today will be focused on sustainability. And for that, we found 3 categories for you that might interest you. The first will be sustainable technology, the second, circular economy, and the third, sustainability business and assessment and engagement. We will have 9 companies in total, of which 7 will be new companies and 2 from the InQbet campus that will alternate themselves and will tell to you what the business is about and how they could actually bring innovation to P&G. We will post in the chat all the context details, so if you follow it, you can actually book a meeting with them or just simply send an email, and we will remind you also at the end of the session. So for now, everything you have to do is to focus on what they have to say, and the first one will be CO2 Bioclean with Fabiana Fantinel. So the ground is yours if you want to tell your story. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for the invitation to this event. I'm very pleased to present you our startup, CO2 Bioclean, and to tell you a little bit about us. Next slide, please. So we are a startup that has developed a technology for converting CO2 emissions into green, sustainable biopolymers. And our objective in this round is to make our technology visible and to provide Procter Gamble an opportunity to see our versatile platform of green chemicals and biopolymers that are suitable to be used as building blocks in several applications related to packaging. Next slide, please. So our mission as a company is to commercialize PHA biopolymers derived from industrial CO2 emissions. So we address 2 main issues. One is climate change and the other one is plastic pollution. And our unique value proposition is that we combine low carbon footprint building blocks with formulation know-how that makes the building blocks suitable for their end-use application. Because we don't just provide the building blocks, but we help in the entire formulation until those building blocks are useful in a real value chain. Next slide, please. And so this is actually the value that we aim at bringing to Procter & Gamble. So putting our know-how and the materials that we are developing at disposal for obtaining eco-friendly packaging. We started this collaboration in June 2021, so already quite some months. And the first step of this collaboration has been very successful because we have been working together and identifying some candidates that are a good opportunity for further development. And we have just submitted yesterday proposal for European funding for 5 million, in which we actually aim at continuing this collaboration and getting closer to the market. Our stage of development is at the moment pilot. We will start our pilot operations soon nearby Frankfurt am Main, and we are continuing this journey in development to make our resins and our biopolymers available commercially. So I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to Alessandro Caffagnini, who's the co-founder and CTO of the company. Thank you again.
Thank you, Fabiana. And that was CO2 Bioclean, and now it's the time of Curico with Morgan Laughlin. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. I'm honored, and it's a privilege for me to come and speak with you today about our company, Curico. First, I want to give you a little bit of my own background and my story. My story actually starts at Procter & Gamble. I worked at Miami Valley Laboratories as a formulation scientist. And that kicked me into the world of, wow, how do we really make safer, better products through smart science? So I left Procter and I joined different raw material companies. I started with Novozymes, which is a natural enzyme company. And then I was recruited by BASF in active ingredients. And I still had this like deep yearning to go after sustainability through smart science. I found this company, Ecolab, and went there to really understand how they were going after sustainability, which was hyper-concentrated products and global harmonized formulations. I was still after this unique science idea of how do we enable companies to generate the smartest and the biggest impact globally. And that's when I found Curie Co and the Curico team. At Curico, we are experts in evolving enzymes. We take biodiversity, so what you find in nature and what nature is actually doing, and we screen for specific modalities, and then we optimize those candidates, and we go through a process called directed evolution. Next slide, please. So directed evolution is where you take a wild type enzyme, and then you identify a modality, and then you basically improve upon that modality by submitting specific selection pressures. And directed evolution means as you submit specific selection pressures, anything from pH and temperature and raw material compatibility, you can identify true improvements on that enzyme, which means it's tunable. We find efficacy against USP51 microbial strains because our goal in the marketplace today is to replace preservatives. We're fully sustainable because we're sourced from biomaterials and our product is biodegradable. It breaks down to simple amino acids. We say it's affordable because the product is catalytic, which means you need a very, very low amount to offset the chemistries that are used today. Basically, we take natural enzymes and we engineer them to mimic the work of preservatives. Next slide, please. Our value proposition is very simple. We have a technological advantage. We take catalytic enzymes and we mimic the work of preservative mechanisms without chemical risks. They're water soluble, which means it sits in the water phase where contamination typically occurs and starts. And we can easily replace parabens or things like phenoxyethanol. We're non-volatile, non-oxidizing, and we're safe to handle and easy to use. There's very low risk of penetration through the skin, which is where parabens have come up in the marketplace as a negative. Next slide, please. So basically, if you think about the timeline, and really to close out this story of why antimicrobials or why preservatives, our goal is to really impact the marketplace in a truly sustainable way to generate safer, better products through smart science. If you notice across the bottom, you see a timeline of nothing but iterative chemical innovations. And I would call these, incremental innovations because it's just different chemistries. Today, Curico is disrupting this space through protein engineering and protein science. It is time for biology to truly teach us how to do things better, safer, and smarter. And if you notice across the top, our major retailers are talking about these exact words, formaldehyde, paraben, triclosan, in very negative ways. So our goal is to truly enable companies like yourself to give consumers safer, better products through smart science. Next slide. If you have any questions or if you want to start this dialogue with us, we're really excited to talk with you all. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm looking forward to discussing with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. And that was Curie Co. And now we will listen to Holiferm with Lawrence Clark. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lawrence Clark from Holiferm. We are fermentation experts based in the northwest of England in the UK, and we're currently taking software-lipid biosurfactants to market. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's it. So Holiferm are using fermentation process innovations to bring biosurfactants to the market at a viable price point. Our biosurfactants are environmentally sustainable alternatives to raw materials that we all use in cleaning products on a daily basis. And our biosurfactants are made with natural feedstocks with a European supply chain. Next slide, please. So our innovation is based in the fermentation process, allowing Holiferm to produce sophrolipids at half the price with a third of the capex versus status quo and current fermentation processes. And this is going to allow us to bring initially sophrolipids to the surfactant market at a price that companies can afford to use them. Works by converting a standard batch fermentation process to a continuous or semi-continuous process. And if you can see on the small infographic that I've included on this slide, we pump from our bioreactor, the fermentation broth, to a gravity separator, extract a sophrolipid-rich phase, and then pump the rest of the broth back to the bioreactor, allowing us to run fermentations for a much longer period of time, and therefore lowering the eventual cost price of the product. Next slide, please. So what we can add in value to you is we can help you hit your sustainability targets. So by replacing 1 ton of petrochemical derived surfactant with 1 ton of our biosurfactants, you can save 1.5 tons of CO2 emissions. We hope to increase this figure as well as we develop our supply chain from virgin feedstocks to waste feedstocks, as well as sustainability improvements. Biosurfactants and sophrolipids especially are much better for humans. They're less toxic, less irritant to your skin, and they're less toxic to the environment as well. So a little bit about where we are currently as a company. We're successfully operating at pilot scale, currently producing about 25 tons of sophrolipid per year. We are currently selling commercially at that scale, and we have received funding and have begun building our commercial scale factory, which will be up and running Q1 2023. And at that point, we will be producing 1,100 tons of sophrolipids per year. Our factory is also based in the northwest of England in Merseyside. And from there, we hope to scale up further and get that cost price right down to compete with the traditional surfactant products. We know it can't replace them all, but we really see it as an important inclusion into the formulator's palette of surfactants as we all move to more sustainable products. Next slide, please. Our products are already being used in the market. They're being developed in the market by companies like yourselves, and they're already being sold commercially into the market. But obviously, for the rest of this year, we have the volume constrictions of being at pilot scale. From next year onwards, we will be at commercial scale. And we do have quite a lot of in-house formulation experience from myself, as well as other people within the company. We've got guide formulations, and our products would be suitable for example, mild on skin products, sulfate-free, palm-free. Sophrolipids are a true biosurfactant. They exist in nature. They're a natural material, and therefore perfect for natural claims, sensitive on skin claims, sulfate-free, etc. And I hope that you can include them in some of your developments in the future. So thank you very much for listening. And next slide, please. Feel free to get in touch with me. So I'm technical sales manager at Holiferm. I can obviously put you in touch with our CEO or managing director if it is suitable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. So that was Lawrence Clark from Holiferm. And now we will listen to again with Brian Matuszewski. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be here today and to be connected. I really appreciate everyone's time. I am speaking on behalf of Again. We are a technology company that is really focused on shifting billions of units of FMCG packaging from single use towards reuse. And we do this by building out a decentralized network of highly advanced, highly automated micro cleaning facilities that we're initially building out all across the UK, entering the French market next, and the US shortly after. We are basically, our proposition to brands is to be able to sell them their cleaned packaging for the same price as single use, and delivering that packaging in the same format as brands receive their packaging today. Next slide, please. So as a company, we receive our packaging from a variety of collection partners that we're building across the value chain. These collection partners include waste management companies. They include retailers, pubs, bars, clubs, and the on-trade channel. We're even building partnerships with reusable packaging platforms such as Loop, as well as integrating our service with deposit return schemes. We strategically plant these micro cleaning facilities, which we call clean cells, in strategic points in the supply chain in order to optimize logistics and take advantage of underutilized logistics. So these are places like waste management recycling facilities, retailers, distribution centers, and so forth. And at these cleaning facilities, we basically clean the packaging, we wash, we dry, we do an advanced quality inspection process, and we prepare that packaging for redistribution back to the brands in the same format and the same price as single use. On the right-hand side is just an image of what that clean cell design looks like. They're designed to process approximately 500,000 units per month, accommodating a wide range of FMCG packaging, from durable plastics to glass and metals. And the clean cell is designed to receive, delabel, wash, dry, and repalletize packaging for redistribution. Next slide, please. So with our FMCG partners and hopefully P&G one day, the value proposition that we would offer P&G is simply to basically be able to allow P&G to shift its packaging from single-use packaging supply chains to reusable packaging supply chains in the billions of units figures. We are able to supply you that packaging for a highly competitive price point. And as part of our platform, all of our clean cells in our decentralized network will be controlled by an advanced operating system, giving our brand partners tremendous insights into their packaging design performance, key insights around collection rates, quality control, and inventory management. Next slide, please. On the left-hand side is an image of what our R&D facility in Camberwell, London looks like. This is a HEPA-filtered environment. To date, we've processed already 20,000 units of packaging, and this is where we collaborate with our FMCG brand partners such as AB InBev, Diageo, Lush, Able & Cole, and many others to basically build clean cells custom to the packaging that our FMCG partners are supplying us. In March of this year, we are launching an exciting pilot in partnership with specifically Diageo and AB InBev, Biffa as our waste management partner, to basically collect post-consumer glass bottles from 30 locations across London. This includes sports stadiums like Arsenal Stadium, Green King, a massive pub chain here in London, as well as a variety of other entities. Will be bringing that post-consumer glass product to our clean cell in London, cleaning that product and delivering it back to our brand partners for inspection and quality control. Next slide. And if anyone is interested in learning more, would love to chat. A contact email is there, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. And that was again, and we will now listen to Reath with Claire Rampen. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I can't see the slides, but I'm guessing they're up there. My name is Claire Rampin. I'm co-founder at Reath, a software company specializing in digital passports for reusable packaging. So we started life as a research company, actually, winning funding from the UK government and the Open Data Institute to research the role that data can play in enabling scalable, reusable packaging systems. And from there, we built a software platform that specialized in the data capture needed to run a scalable, compliant reuse system. Next slide, please. So our system works with any types of packaging. We recognize that every company has different requirements when it comes to packaging and the products that they're testing reuse on. And they also have their own setup, and every single circular system is different. The only criteria is that every piece of packaging has a machine-readable code, and that can be anything from a simple QR code to a more advanced code like a digital watermark. You then create a digital twin in Reath, or you can think of this like a digital passport. This captures information such as the material that the product's made out of, what percentage recycle it is that it's made out of, and information about potentially what it requires to be cleaned, or any other information you want to store against that passport. The next step is to set up scanning points at key stages in your cycle so you can stamp the passport at every stage. And the opportunities for using that data are really endless. Next slide, please. So we have clients at the moment who use the digital passport to handle compliance and health and safety reporting, also environmental reporting, accurately being able to show how many pieces of packaging have been reused and how many times, and then actually from there start to estimate carbon impact of that or materials diverted from landfill or recycling. You can also use that data to send accurate communications to your customers and let them know how they're reducing their environmental footprint and what impact they are having. You can use our data to build a business case for reusable packaging, taking into account the cost of packaging on market taxes and the savings that you can make there. And we can apply our data models to help you identify optimization opportunities within the system, as well as manage the system to the standard that you want it to be managed. And lastly, you can identify design insights and then feed them back into your packaging engineering briefs, such as which components hold up best in a reuse cycle, for example. The amount of granular data that you can have access to is really significant in optimizing and making sure that these reuse systems are going to perform just as well as their single-use counterparts. Next slide, please. We work with companies like Marks & Spencer's, powering their reusable refill and store packaging initiative. And we started with them as a pilot in one store, and we're now rolling out to all of their refill and store stations. We also do work across all types of packaging. B2B and B2C primary packaging is our specialism because we focus on when an item comes into contact with something that it's being filled with or cleaned with and has compliance reporting requirements against it. Next slide, please. So it would be great to hear if Procter & Gamble is looking at reuse, and we would love to talk to any teams who are interested in exploring data-driven pilots of reusable packaging. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Claire from Reath. And now we will listen to Sean Mandora with Zora. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sean. I'm head of commercial at Zora Rental, and we're the UK's first white label rental platform. Can you go to the next slide, please? So did you know the fashion industry contributes up to 10% of global greenhouse emissions? Now, that came as a surprise to me too. And the majority of that comes at the production stage. So producing one dress can release up to 17 kilograms of carbon into the atmosphere. The culture of fast fashion has driven us to overconsume and overproduce. If you think about how often people buy something and then wear it only once or twice, I mean, you can think about your own wardrobe and how many items of clothing you have in there that you don't use. And to remedy this, we need to adapt the outdated linear model and deliver true circularity. So 1 in 5 garments needs to be traded circularly by 2030, according to McKinsey. And consumers are becoming increasingly sustainability focused. That photo on here is of the Atacama Desert in Chile. So rental is key to this because one garment can be worn by 30 different customers, and it reduces unnecessary overproduction and it extends the lifetime of the garment. And what this leads to is a massive reduction in carbon dioxide per wear of up to 80% versus retail. As a result, the rental market is forecast to grow 10% per year, with both consumers and retailers benefiting. From a consumer perspective, it delivers variety and choice in a sustainable and affordable way. And for retailers, they can maximize profit across their stock base, making a 3 times return compared to retail. The problem is that retailers don't know where to begin. Can we go to the next slide, please? So technology is one of the major challenges. So the websites and the solutions that are built for standard retail, they don't work for rental because it is a completely different model. And that's why at Zora, we've built a tech solution that's specifically for rental, and we built it from the bottom up. What we've built is essentially the Shopify of circular commerce, as it allows fashion brands to build their own rental business within a matter of hours. So just like Shopify, retailers have their own unique rental URL, and they can log in and customize everything from their homepage to the products that they're offering for rental. They control key settings like the pricing, the rental periods, and the lead and lag times, which is the amount of time between bookings that allows them to prepare their garment for the next booking. We've built global first features like an easy retail to rental stock importer, dynamic pricing, which allows them to take advantage of high demand periods, and bundle multiple items together into a single curated look. And all of this is supported by dashboard and availability to data because we're a data first company. And the reason we've been able to build this is that we have deep experience in understanding what's important to rental because we run our own D2C rental brand called Higher Street, which is the UK's leading rental service. Next slide, please. The other key challenge for fashion brands wanting to launch rental is the operations. So again, these are fundamentally different to retail, which is not set up really to deal with the item being continually returned. So we also offer the option for integrated warehousing and logistics so that fashion brands can receive a fully managed service. The rental operations include the whole process, right from receiving the stock, adding an RFID tag to it, which is a small chip that lets you track the item, to fulfilling the item, shipping it, receiving it back, cleaning it, and carrying out any repairs to ensure that it's perfect for the next rental. The aim is to maximize the number of customers that can use any garment because this is what maximizes profit, and this is what has the biggest impact on sustainability. Next step, please. In just 7 months, we've already signed rental partnerships with some of the world's leading brands, including Marks and Spencer's, Lipsy, which is part of the Next Group, Decathlon, which is a major European sports retailer, and Nobody's Child. And these brands are just beginning their rental journey, and they're already looking to scale up. For example, Nobody's Child has already increased the level of stock that it's put towards rental, and we're in the process of launching with 2 other major brands, which we're currently under NDA with. We're getting inbound requests from major brands weekly, as there is a real focus on rental at the moment, and it's forecast to make up 12% of the £800 billion global apparel market in the next few years. We currently power thousands of rentals every month, and we have built the technology and operational capability to power 100,000 rentals a day. Next slide, please. So what does the future look like? So beyond fashion, we want to power circularity across other industries. So we started with fashion because that's the industry we have expert experience in, having run the UK's leading website, Higher Street, for 3 years. However, we think rental can work in any industry where there are items or assets that can be better utilized by sharing. We're already speaking to clients about other rental propositions, so tent rental and jewelry rental, and it really makes the most sense where items have a high price point but a low frequency of use. So anything within the P&G portfolio that meets those characteristics would be a very interesting use case for rental. We also think it will be crucial to create an integrated retail and rental experience in the future. So for example, the way that we're seeing that is with a smart button. So as a consumer, you can interact on a single retail site and you can have the decision of whether you want to purchase the item or rent the item. Thank you very much for listening, and we'd be really happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Sean. And that was Zora. And now we will listen to Gavin Shepherd with Pinwheel. Thank you. Hello, Gavin. I think you are back on stage. So.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I couldn't hear. I've got no audio, so I wasn't sure I was live or not. But hope you can hear me. My name's Gavin. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of Pinwheel. We are a sustainability company that exists to help corporates like P&G invest in the very best planet-saving projects around the world. And to do so in a way that really drives brand value as an employer, as a consumer brand, and for investors by really engaging the people who matter most in your world in that process. So in this way, we take sustainability out of the pages of the annual report and put it into the lived experience of those people who matter most. Next slide, please. So we do this in a couple of ways. We have selected the best planet-saving projects from around the world, not just in terms of carbon removal to offset carbon emissions in your business, but through biodiversity protection and reintroduction, through habitats, through waste removal and recycling and so on. So the very full mix of dealing with environmental crises around the world. And we arrange these into compelling passion-based plans, so maybe ocean or wilderness or so on. And we make these available to your customers or to your staff to choose how they want their share of your corporate sustainability impact to be felt. Now, why do we do this? Well, we do this because we know that customers and staff feel very passionately about this stuff, but there's often a real difficulty in cutting through to people and differentiating and standing out from the crowd and showing people what it is that you're doing. So next slide, please. So here's the stats to back that up. Huge proportion of millennials. These figures here are a couple of years out of date, so it will be even more, I'm sure now. Will not take a job unless the employer can show strong sustainability credentials, and an even bigger percentage say that they are more loyal to a company if they help them in environmental issues. On the other hand, in consumers, almost all consumers say that sustainability is important when making purchase decisions. The difficulty, though, is this gap, and it's shown here in the only 20% of people notice sustainability claims on packaging or in advertising. So people think it's really important, but how do you cut through to them with the messaging? And we think the key to this is engagement. So allowing those people to play their part in the journey, to experience the content that allows them to make good decisions about where they want you to invest your share of sustainability impact around the world. Next slide, please. We work with massive brands, both on the project side. So we work with Queen guitarist Brian May on his UK rewilding work, for example. We're working with an enormous public event in the UK this summer with a leading European travel brand to offset their carbon in a way that really engages their customers. And with a leading advertising group to put their 25,000 employees on the Pinwheel system and give them access to all of our content and the ability to shift where they make their sustainability impacts around the world. Got a fantastic team, including a former UK Secretary of State for Climate Change, Amber Rudd. So we've got a great team, and we work with some really brilliant brands around the world, and we would love P&G to be one of them. Next slide, please. So if you'd like to talk, and we really hope that you do, then please get in touch, and we'd love to have a conversation about how we can make P&G a real leader and differentiate and stand out from the crowd in this really super important area. Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. So that was Pinwheel, and now we will listen to Pawprint with Ben Walker. Thank you.
Afternoon, and nice to see everybody, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation so far. I'm conscious we're the 8th one in, so I hope I can keep this interesting. I'm the head of business engagement for Pawprint. Pawprint is an app. It's a behavioral change platform that is designed for businesses to engage with their employees to make sure that they are on the journey around sustainability. Firstly, by helping them measure, understand, and reduce their own personal carbon footprint, or Pawprint as we call it, but ultimately through further engagement through various activities and providing data back to the business. Next slide, please. So how does it work? Well, firstly, every employee is encouraged to undertake a short survey that covers 4 key areas, which is diet, home, travel, and spend. And on the back of that, they get a personalized carbon footprint, allows them to see where they are against the global averages. We then encourage people to undertake actions. We've got more than 300 that they can choose from. Some are very challenging for those that are already eco-activists, and some are easier to do. The idea is we ask them to repeat these actions so they become habitual, and we know that then there will be a constant reduction in their carbon footprint. We also put all employees into different teams. It's up to you how you decide those teams are going to be. You might do them by location or by region or by division. We don't mind. I can have as many teams as you want, and we want them to compete against each other. So the idea is that Pawprint, it's educational, it's fun, it's constructive, but at the same time, it's non-judgmental with a little bit of camaraderie built in. We have leaderboards that those teams can move up and down, and we set up seasonal sprints. And the idea of these sprints are these are time-bound challenges that will allocate a certain amount of actions over a short period of time, encourage people to do them as often as they can, and then allow them back to the sort of daily usage. On the back of this, we provide aggregated data back to P&G. And the idea is you've got some really useful statistics to be able to report on, and that's both internally and externally. You know, a lot of businesses, it's a very high percentage of scope 3 emissions, and we want to be able to address those by giving you useful information. We've got a public API dashboard, which is in development and will be finished in Q2 this year, which allow you to log in and access whichever data you want. And finally, we have a very simple reward scheme called Paw Points, which allows all users to donate their Paw Points, which they receive for completing actions, towards one of 3 charities that we support. Those charities change on a 3 monthly basis, and we're very happy to partner with charities that P&G support themselves. Next slide, please. We try and take the value beyond just employee engagement, and we look at it from a sort of board table perspective. So why does Pawprint add value on a wider scale? Well, certainly from an employee side, this is about helping people understand more about what they can do around sustainability, empower them to actually make positive change. And at this point in time where there is a pretty serious cost of living and energy crisis, actually sustainability helps people to reduce their living costs, particularly at home, with simple acts like turning down heating. Within HR, we know from all the data that certainly retention and acquisition is very much improved when companies commit to a good ESG sustainable strategy. From sales, exactly the same with partners. Most partners want to be with businesses that have got a public commitment. And from marketing, clearly there's brand building around P&G leading on this. From a financial perspective, most CFOs are very happy to see ways that they can try and reduce some costs, whether that's around just checking that travel is always required, or indeed as simple things as not printing huge amounts of documents that could be done digitally. And finally, at the executive CEO level, there's a legacy element. Most CEOs want to leave a business in a better position than they found it, but also I think they want to leave a longer legacy than that suggests that they've also led on making sure that business is carbon friendly. Next slide, please. You can see already since our launch in May last year, we've enjoyed a lot of success with some pretty major businesses. So we're delighted that they've seen the value in Pawprint. So businesses like Accenture and Vodafone and CGI, all global partners, and using the platform not just in the UK where we're based, but in Europe, in Asia, and in North America. We've got over 40 businesses that have signed up already. We expect that number to be up at 200 by the end of the year. And between them, they've already saved over 600 tons, which isn't bad, or 600 tons of CO2. Not bad in the first 6 or 7 months, but again, we want to increase that. Obviously, there's an option as well for this to be rolled out to consumer populations. And so we're keen for that to be part of a discussion with P&G in the future. Next slide, please. Thanks very much. I appreciate, as I say, we're the 8th one. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you'd like to speak further, please reach out to myself, Ben, or my colleague, Erin.
Thank you, Ben. And that was Pawprint. And now we will listen to Ivan Gonzalez with Recycler. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. It's a genuine pleasure and honor to be here presenting what we do at Recycler. I'm the CEO of Recycler. I don't see the slides. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Basically, what Recycler does is help consumers recycle more and better, or sort your packaging better at home. And why? It's important to understand the why, right? Because we are recycling less than 50% of the packaging, the millions of items we buy every day. And this number is increasing, this number of items that we produce, right? And this matches with a consumer need and also a business behind that can supply this need. And basically, consumers are demanding more committed companies. They are choosing companies with less impact, product with less impact. Brands, they want help from the brands to be more sustainable. And also they need or they want more product information. They want to know all about your product. Please, next slide. So at the end, there's a business need. So what we do at Recycler, we try to give you the tools to cover this need from consumers, this need from the environment, and for your business. What we do is we have a platform that collects information about how every item in the market is collected for recycling, a very detailed information at a local level. So for example, in the UK, you will know if something can go into the recyclables or not, but even know in your neighborhood or even in your street, which bin do you need to use, or which bag or which box do you need to use, right? So very detailed information wherever you are, no matter if you are in France, Spain, UK, wherever. And then we match this information with the products you put in the market. And we try to connect, or we call it the connected product, basically create a virtual identity or a digital look of the physical one. We can use your digital ones, we can use the codes you have like a barcode, or we can create new ones, unique ones, etc. So we are quite flexible also on how you connect these products to the cloud. But the most important thing, and this is very interesting from our side, is that we give you the tool, and this is something that you will offer to your consumers. So we create for you, or we use your consumer interfaces, your consumer application websites, so you can offer this to your consumers. You can offer information how to properly sort, how to properly recycle, gamify all this experience, incentivize them with donations, with discount, anything that motivates them to recycle more and better. And this is something that you will do as Procter & Gamble. Next slide, please. So at the end, what's here for P&G? Of course, you are helping the environment and the business and consumers, but just for you to know, consumers are demanding the products to be connected, or demanding products that are in the cloud, or at least the information they hold. And in the last year, 57% of consumers, they scan a QR code on the packaging to know more about this product. So there's a need, and there's an interest, and there's a very interesting engagement from consumers to interact digitally with consumers. And this is what we give you. We give you the tool to do that. And by doing this and solving the pain of consumers, solving this environmental problem, you increase the user acquisition, you make it easier to access more consumers, you increase sales, you increase green branding, and of course, you will increase recycling. I will give you 4 examples. Next slide, please. Where P&G is, I don't see. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. 4 examples where P&G is involved. The first one with a retailer use case, where we can give information not just with one client, but with many suppliers for Carrefour and also Carrefour, and provide this very easily in a retailer interface. But also from P&G perspective, this is a case from France on the right, on the upper side, and in Ferry in the UK also. Very interesting cases, and as you see, all of them, they're white label. And on the bottom, Pavoco, that Lenore is working with them, also a way to connect packaging with a unique and serialized code on the packaging. So as you see, there are many ways to show your commitment to your consumers, and different ways that you can tackle, and you can use all of them at the same time because the platform will allow you to do that. Next slide, please. So happy to answer any questions, happy to chat with you, arrange any meeting, and I hope it was interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ivan. That was the last one, Recycle. And we finish with the list of startups who were pitching. So thank you, everybody. If Raffaele, do you have any last words? Raffaele, can you hear me? Well, just a last reminder in the meantime to say that in the chat you can find all the mails again to contact the startup scale-ups that pitched today. Also the meeting links. So if you click on the meeting link, you can actually book a slot of time with them tomorrow or any other time. So that we hope that throughout this channel we can boost a little bit the connection between P&G and the startups, both in the InQbet campus and external companies who joined us today for the session. Thank you.